wouldn't consider myself a fan of Scott Jund. Hang on, Hornets in that nest. I know it looks like I'm rearing back my leg to kick you, but I need you to be patient past the opening sentence, okay? Okay. I also don't dislike him either. I just never actively seek out his videos. I'm not eagerly awaiting the next Scott Jund discussion, but I also won't skip over some of his videos when they pop up on my feed. From what I can tell, he's an alright guy with some varied and pretty well thought out opinions, and I mention this because every time I dare criticize any creator or their takes, a swarm of their fans come into my comment section to tell me how much I'm a hater and I should off myself and I suck and I should delete my YouTube channel and how I'm jealous and I'll never be as big as them, and I take issue with that last one because I'm 315 pounds, so I'm definitely bigger than Scott. Anyway, recently, Scott released a video called Hot Take Delete the Basement, and this title turned out to be clickbait, which I'm not bashing at all. I think a lot of people who aren't content creators don't realize you have to make titles people want to click on. That's kind of where we make our money. That's why this video is titled Why I Don't Agree with Scott Jund, and you'll find out that I only partially disagree with what he says, but more on that later. Scott has 3 major points in this video, and I'm going to tackle them all. His first point is the only purpose of the basement is being able to camp it, and devs have made a pretty decisive stance on camping. I'll target the first part in a second, but the second part, devs have made a stance on camping, is where I want to begin. The devs have made a stance on face camping. A rather odd but understandable stance, the new anti-face camping mechanic was introduced as a way to basically placate people getting face camped. Face camping is a weak strategy that loses games, and it always has been and always will be. If you simply crank out gens when you see someone being face camped and they wait out their entire 2 minutes, then a 3-man out is nearly guaranteed, but it's not very fun for the person being camped. It's dull to sit through the first stage, and second stage, while more interactive, can get annoying at times, and many times people just kill themselves on hook and GG go next. Or more accurately, killed themselves on hook, then waited around for the match to finish so they can talk shit to a killer who probably doesn't care what they have to say. And you can tell that they don't care because they face camped to begin with. What, you think the person who face camped you at 5 gens is going to change their playstyle because Leon's ball smell told him they suck at the game and are pathetic? No, they probably are going to put you in their 3.5-minute YouTube rage compilation for their 23 subscribers to tell them how hilarious they are. So the dev's stance against face camping is more there to make people who were getting face camped feel better about having a way out. And that's a good thing, but I don't think they really have a strong stance against camping as a whole. Proxy camping is still an incredibly powerful strategy, and the devs don't seem keen to increase the range on the new anti-camp mechanic, so I think it's safe to say that the dev's stance, quote-unquote, against camping is more of just a stance about making the game more fun for the person who ends up being face camped, as opposed to just outright denying that camping should exist as a whole. His second main point is the first part of the first point I mentioned, and that the basement's only purpose is for the killer to camp it. And I don't agree with that at all. I think the basement's purpose is to have a place that's inherently dangerous for the survivors. Sure, it's easiest to camp it, and camping is the way to use it the most effectively, but I believe that it always existed more as a place for the killer to use, as the one place in the game where survivors can't hide or loop you. They will take a hit and most of the time will go down, but Scott's point was that going to the basement was a waste of time if you aren't camping it, which I don't fully agree with. I think that there's a lot of nuance to that kind of topic about whether or not it's worth it to go down to the basement. Like, sure, if you're right next to a hook and basement is 5 to x 8 second walk away, then why would you ever hook them in basement? But down someone at shack or in main and basement is there, then use it. And you can use it very well. Some basements, like in Mid Bitch or Gideon's, are near necessary because of hook distribution on those maps. Having 4 readily available hooks is one of the biggest draws to the basement, especially because they can't be sabotaged, broken, or destroyed. He mentions that newer killers fall into a trap of trying to hook basement when they shouldn't, and it's hard to teach how to judge where you should hook in certain situations. And I agree it is hard to teach, but there's a lot of things in this game that are hard to teach. Much of this game comes with experience, which sucks, but it is what it is. I don't think that's necessarily a point that we should be using as evidence to quote-unquote delete the basement. He also said it's a waste of resources eating up hook spawns in the area, but my response to that is to just let hook spawns in the area regardless then. I don't see anything wrong with it, especially if you think the basement is a waste of time like you say it is. His third and final point was that he doesn't necessarily think basement should be removed completely, like we shouldn't just like delete the concept of the basement being there, just that there should be more of a reason for survivors to want to go down there, like making chest always have a green item. And here is where I kind of agree. I agree that basement needs updated, but I think it should be updated to incentivize both roles to want to use it more. So here are my suggestions. 1, make the chest in the basement always spawn a green med kit or toolbox with at least yellow or above add-ons, and make the chest rummageable once for each survivor after the first survivor opens it. If the exit gates are powered, have like a 20% chance to find a purple key with no add-ons. 2, make basement hooks Scourge hooks and make Monstrous Shrine Effect base kit for these hooks. With both of these implemented, there's a real reason to go down there for both sides. Survivors can find good and useful items, and killers have more powerful hooks available to them. Plus, it buffs Scourge hooks as a whole because there's always a guaranteed 4 Scourge hooks available no matter how far into the game you are. And the bigger part about that is that there's a reason for the killers to use the basement and then leave it without sitting around and camping it, because you'll always have that additional 20% dying rate as long as you're far enough away, which I think that's what, 20 meters away, which is a pretty decent distance you have to be away from the basement. So I think that it's actively would be a really good change, and it would help so much in making the basement something really powerful. The basement, like much of Dead by Daylight, is in serious need of an update. It's outdated, but it doesn't mean we should remove it or remove the hooks within it. It means we should change it to keep up with the current gameplay loop and add it to and use it to add more depth to a game desperately needing things like that. Each match should feel like a small story unfolding, and the basement is merely another plot point in that story that needs a bit of updating to play a bigger role. At the end of the day, I'm really confused at how many bigger creators, because it's not just Scott. I've seen Otts, I've seen Barony, I've seen a lot of people coming up with just this take that the basement should just be taken out of the game, when in reality I think that it just needs a bigger and more full change than what we're currently giving it. But that's all I have for today, guys. Let me know what you think down below. I'm sure someone will send this to Scott, and if he watches it, hello Scott, I hope your day is well and your stream is going good. A special thank you to my channel members, the Cannibal Main, Alex Balix, Tabasco Raccoon, Ryan Gesture, Spirit Upgrades, and Nuclear Bomb for their additional support. If you want to know how to get thanked at the end of videos as well as additional perks, click that join button down below. Don't forget about our Halloween merch sale going on right now with our coupon code on hoodies with our coupon code on the hoodies on your screen. And other than that, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.